It's December, and while many people are thinking of fun and freedom, experts are cautioning that it's a good time to make sure that your affairs are in order. Zale Hechter, the CEO of CliqTech, joins me now. Very good afternoon. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Just talk to us about what people should be thinking about as we go into December.
Yeah, so I suppose the two key things is, we all know that a will's important. An important document, and when we've spoken to people, most people say yes, they know they need to do a will, but a lot of people haven't got around to do it. I mean, statistically, 70% of us watching this today probably wouldn't have done a will or haven't updated the will that they have in the last few years. So that's a good place to start. And we all know that as we head off on holiday, we know what the roads. Unfortunately, we know that the danger of the roads and the accidents that we have. So we need to be prepared for that. And also, we have our policies. We have our life policies and funeral policies in place, and we need to make sure that those, those beneficiaries have been updated and are correct in both the will and obviously your policies.
All right, so just talk to me about the app that you have and how that tries to solve the problem that you just spoken about.
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, most people would love to do a will, but they often can't find the time to do it. And when we talk about time, we talk about accessibility. So accessibility speaks to availability. And availability means that we want to, today's day and age, we want to be able to do it, use a system on our terms. So we created a system called Smartwool, which is an online will and estate planning platform. It's professionally serviced and backed up by fiduciary experts. And you can access that 24/7 in the comfort of your own home. You can even do it on the beach. And you can actually go and update your current Smartwool, or you can go and create a brand new one from scratch. It'll take a few minutes and I suppose a little bit of thought, which is important when you're creating your will. Getting that advice wherever you may be, and you can go and print it and you can sign it, and you've got a valid will in place.
Talk to us about how you got to that point, and also if I'm watching, how do I trust that I'm putting my information into somewhere where it's safe, where it can't be accessed by people who don't have good bona fides maybe?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, when you're working with, a document and details like this, you need to make sure that everything is secure. So we make sure that our site is fully, compliant, GDPR compliant. We also work with some of the country's largest corporates, so from a security point of view, it's very, very important. So you can be rest assured that that information that you're putting in is secured and it's only used for what it is there for. And so I think that's important. And we have thousands of very happy customers that have used the system without any issues.
Mm-hmm. You've said that the Financial Sector Conduct Authority said at the end of 2019, South Africa's retirement fund administrators had 44.9 billion rand of unclaimed benefits. Do you know why this is? Yeah,
so I think a lot of the time when, as life goes on, people start taking out numerous policies. We've had some people asking us, can you help us identify what policies we have? People forget which policies they have. And often what happens is they're ill-prepared when they die. And when the person dies, neither the executor or the family actually knows where the policies are held and if there are any. And what ends up happening is they're not claimed on. So we have a problem in South Africa where people just don't know to claim, and we have these unclaimed benefits. So one of the things we do in our platform in Smartwool is we allow the person to actually capture that information up front, the bare minimum, so that the executors know where these policies are so they don't get lost, and that the family and the beneficiaries can benefit from them. It's so important.
All right, so just help me understand how then, if I'm using this app, I put in my details, I have my Smartwool, I have my details there. How do you ensure the privacy and make sure that my will is sacrosanct and my privacy is sacrosanct, but also make sure that my possible beneficiaries will know that I've used this app and that when I pass away, this is where they can access it?
Sure. So I think I mentioned, from the security point of view, But we track and audit every single interaction on the system, so we know exactly when the person would have last been in the system and updated. So there's no chance of anyone going in when somebody, let's say, is ill. We know that that person was sound of mind when they actually created that will. And from letting the family know, the system has the ability to actually, at the end of the journey, actually send out emails and notifications to the family to say, look, this is where I have done my will. If anything happens to you, you can contact us. And we let the whole network know about it. And then obviously we have the ability to store the will, and also we have the ability to check against the Department of Home Affairs. So even if people have forgotten about it, we will let the beneficiaries know that this we have the will, and we can actually chase after them and make sure they get what they deserve.
Talk to me about, from your experience as well as statistically, how are people doing in terms of signing up to services like yours, not just yours specifically, and making sure their affairs in order? Because even though we're living through a global pandemic and we're still dealing with epidemics like HIV and AIDS, people don't seem willing or able or knowing how to make sure that their affairs are in order. And perhaps what's the importance of doing that, especially now in December?
Sure. I mean, I think you're right there. I think education is critical. I think not many people, it's not so much why you need to have something like a will in place, but what actually happens if I don't have a will in place. What does that mean for my children? What does it mean if I haven't appointed a guardian? What does it mean if, I was married and I got divorced and I had a will? These are all, and what happens if there's no will, with the laws of interstate succession? What is actually going to happen? So I think there has definitely been an upswell with the pandemic and people realizing, sure, this is real and I need to get my affairs in order. I mean, across the board, there's been in the 100th percentile of people, taking out and actually creating their wills. I mean, in our world, we've had over a 500% increase of people engaging in our services. So the awareness and obviously the motivation is there. But I think ongoing, hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll be through this pandemic. But we need to still keep aware of the fact that, the reasons why don't change.
All right.
It can't just be based on, on a pandemic or, other situations like that.
Zale Hechter, the CEO of CliqTech, thanks so much for your time on SABC News this afternoon, cautioning us to make sure that our affairs are in order. So before we go to the beach, before we take a break and have downtime with family, just to remember to have our finances in order, our wills in order, and also making sure that somebody has access to that information to prevent problems later. Now, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control